Welcome back to the DRN podcast. I am your host, as always, Dustin Nuttall. And today, the discussion is going to be all about employment environment. We've all been there. We have all been there to where you have a job that you love or you enjoy, but management is not very good, or simply put, the environment is very toxic. And that is where I lead this off to. I will start with talking about that I just left my job, even though I already have one, where I already got accepted and hired, back to doing what I really want to do, which is being a direct support professional, helping people, But I was working in a hotel, and things were actually very good, and I enjoyed management and stuff, but then a lot of changes happened really fast, and things just went downwards very quickly. So that's one of the things for me is the environments of where you work must be good. Everything that kind of spoils the environment and the atmosphere of a job that makes people run away is one, management. Management is number one. On any time that anyone decides to leave a company, it's because of management. They have a role of playing favoritism, treating people differently from each other, whether they like someone or not. And I've seen it here where, one was mistreating another because they just want to find a reason to fire them, and on top of that, allowing people to come in and out, late and never showing up and, things just because they are more of a favorite than others, others get leniency versus someone else. And, that kind of work environment is not good. And then on top of that, you got obviously other staff. You got staff that will, sit there and make rumors. And they will sit there and cause more drama. They will go and repeat what you say, even change a couple words in there that change the whole meaning. They will do anything and everything to spoil everything and push you out. And you know what? That's what really sucks, because there are some really good workers out there, and I am one of them. I show up every single day. I am never late. I'm always a half an hour early. I do the job the best of my ability. I listen, I understand, and I correct if I mess up at all, make a mistake. I correct it and try to do better for the next time and, keep going. And I believe I am a very good worker. But when the atmosphere and the environment at work is not good, it really pushes people out. But here's the thing about that, though. The environment may suck, and I may leave, but I'm not valued because I'm replaceable. And that's how it is everywhere. You, as a worker, are replaceable. So you need to treat the employment the same exact way that you don't need them, just like they don't need you. So the thing is as soon as you leave, or as soon as they fire you, someone else comes. It doesn't matter. We are all expendable. We are not that valued as a worker. As much as some companies will sit there and talk about how much they really, really need dedicated, hard workers that will help their company, well, unfortunately, a lot of employers just don't treat their staff the right way like they deserve. And it's one of those things that drives me mad, because that's how a company breaks down. That's how things aren't done right. And when you push someone to their limit, they run. They leave, like I did. I mean, I put my 2 weeks in, but I couldn't take it anymore. I had to go. And I already got the other job anyways, so I'm going to start there early. So But, you know, there are times when you must realize that you should value dedicated, hardworking employees. And there should never, ever be anything else that gets in the way of that other than their own work, their own efforts, anything. It doesn't matter about how they look, doesn't matter what they believe in, doesn't matter how they act as long as it's appropriate, and it doesn't matter whether you like them as a person or not. Nobody is there at work to be friends. You're there to work, get the job done, and get paid. I know when I go to work, the only thing I want to do is get the job done, do it the best of my ability, come home, and get a paycheck. I prefer to have a paycheck once and live the rest of my life wonderfully, but we all know that's not going to happen. But what sucks, though, is how so many people nowadays just don't want to work. And, you know, some are based on this environmental issue at work that it's very toxic. And then there's other ones that have chosen that they just don't want to work. And which is really sad, too, because that also hurts employers. But the same way as an employee should respect their employer, the employer should also respect their employees. Don't take your employees for granted. Give them the respect they deserve and treat them properly. Follow the rules and the laws. And if you treat them right, they will stay. You know, I never even thought about leaving that job until things just started going down and I realized that I'm not happy and I was angry coming to work every day and, you know, having to smoke several cigarettes outside before going into work. You know, picking up the slack for people is not fun. Watching others be able to do whatever they want, and then if I make one tiny mistake and I get in trouble for it, you know, it's those kind of things that kind of spoils everything, and then it grows until you got resentment. And the thing is, you got to watch out for your own mental health. That is very important, your mental health. And I think that most jobs have destroyed my mental health over most. So I did work for this company here as a direct support professional before, not the one I'm going to now, a different place. And, you know, I absolutely loved that job. I loved my work. I loved helping people. I still miss my clients to today. But the problem was management. You know, management was so awful and didn't care about the clients, and, you know, they only cared about the profits and neglected their staff and didn't want to listen to them out. Heck, even HR said that we didn't deserve a pay raise because it's a feel-good job. You know, stupid things like that. But, you know, they get really good pay, $20+ an hour to sit in their AC conditioned room. Meanwhile, you know, we're suffering, cleaning, and dead, especially when COVID hit, you know, working 6 days a week, 14-hour shifts. You know, there's so many that takes advantage of the workers, and it's really sad. And a lot of us never been paid well enough for what we did. And I was working at the Hilton Garden Inn, and I actually liked that job, other than some staff and all. But overall, it was a good place to work. The only reason I left there was because I got a chance to go work at the hospital in the emergency department. And, you know, it ended up being like $21 an hour at night. I think it was like 18, 19 or something like that on other shifts or something like that. But it was good money. But so I left the hotel to go there. Unfortunately, I found out why other people were leaving. HR is horrible. It's just, and it, there's a lot, it's kind of like a hostile environment. It's almost like as if you're walking on eggshells as soon as you walk in, and everybody's going to be offended by anything and everything you say or do, or even if you open your eyes and look somewhere. And it was one of those things that pushed me away right away. Like, that's before I got this last hotel job I just quit. That's, I left within a couple months. I wouldn't even stay there long. I mean, I liked the job itself for the most part. I mean, it was pretty simple in the emergency department. I thought there was going to be more running around, but I didn't do as much as I thought I would. But HR kind of ruined it. And the eggshell feeling of walking around was not my cup of tea. I like it to where when I walk into a building, I feel like it's okay for me to talk. There, I felt like I had to be quiet. Otherwise, I was going to get in trouble for something that's not real. And so I don't know how many people that's listening to this podcast right now has had the same situations like I have, but man, I haven't always had such bad issues with employers. The only other one that I could say was Walmart. I will never work for that company again, ever. So long story short on this one is I was dating this girl when I was living in North Carolina, and we worked together on the same shift, different shifts. I worked the second, she worked the third. And, I guess her and her father was friends with management back there. Okay. I never thought of anything of it. I figured everything should be fair. That's what you think. So sometimes I am that stupid and naive, but it came down to it's not like that at all. And I was in a really bad place. For some reason, it triggered trauma. So what she did was she lied. So she sent me a text asking me if I would come bring her some food, because I would always cook her some food and bring it in for her at night so she'd have something to eat. And I've always did that. So I walked in, not thinking anything, bringing her food like she texted me. And then I got bombarded by people telling me to leave because I'm harassing them. What are you talking about? She said that I was harassing her and wouldn't leave her alone. I literally tried to show him the text message. I pulled out my phone and I said, look at this text. She asked me to come, and they refused to look at it and escorted me out. I was like, okay. And yeah, it went from there where I found out she was lying, and management is on her side, of course, because they're friends. And I was so depressed that I became suicidal. So my mental health really fell down. And then while I was in the hospital, they fired me. While I was suicidal at the hospital, they fired me. So that didn't help much either. So it all comes down to management and the hostile environments and the atmosphere that's at your job that keeps you to stay. And it seems like a lot of these jobs just don't care. Like, a lot of employers don't really, truly care. And that is a really sad part, especially when people dedicate their heart and soul to that job. Even if they don't even like it, they'll dedicate themselves to that job, and then they get mistreated. And I even see it now. Right before I left here, one person is mistreated and yelled at for every single thing, and they're trying to force them to quit because they can't find a way to fire them yet. And another one is getting yelled at for things that aren't even part of her job, that for someone else that made a mistake and it shouldn't be. And then another staff, it goes on and on. And since that all began is when I started losing my faith in the company and ultimately where I left. So now I'm going to start anew at a brand new place, being a direct support professional again, which I am so excited for. I have been wanting to do this. I tried going to my other job, but I criticized management really bad at that place, so they just won't take me back. And that's fine, because management really hasn't changed, but I wanted to go back just to take care of my clients. I miss them. I love them. But, I still get to be a direct support professional like I like, and I work at a new place, and it's going to be Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. It's going to be awesome. I'm not used to the weekends off. I don't know if I'm really excited because here in Montana, nothing's open on the weekends. So, if something were to happen to my car and I need it fixed, I can't do it on my days off because everywhere is closed. So, how am I supposed to get my car fixed? And it's stuff like that sucks. But anyways, I just want to tell you guys that if an employer treats you wrong, speak up. If HR won't listen, speak up. If ultimately it is getting very toxic and you're unhappy, make sure first you always have something else coming up, or you've already, been accepted for another job or whatnot, and leave. Don't let your mental health suffer because you need money. Sometimes the hardest decisions are the best ones for you. Your mental health is a priority, and it is number one, especially when it comes to employment. Trust me, I need money so bad. There's so many reasons why I need the cash, take care of so many things, but sometimes you just have to take a couple days away. But with that being said, I hope you guys can resonate with what I was talking about for this episode. I hope you guys have good employers, and you have the job and a career that you absolutely love and enjoy with all your heart. And I hope your environment and atmosphere is pleasant and not as bad as some of the ones I've went through. And mine's not even that bad. Mine aren't as bad as a lot of people I've actually spoken to. So, but with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope that you will come back and listen to the next episode. Y'all have a wonderful week.